This is Bridget from the PlannerSpeechie. Welcome back to the channel. I will be planning for the week of August 16th through August 22nd. The funny thing is, this week at the time of filming has already occurred. Today, the day I'm filming, is actually Sunday the 22nd. How did this happen? Well, this was my very first week at my very first day as a clinical fellow. So to say that I had other things going on is the biggest understatement ever. But I have to say, and you can see my my nails are a little insane. I had gel nails on and they are gone. So the only thing that's left is the thumbs. I have to figure that out. I wanted to just walk through what my week was like as a clinical fellow, and I think this is really interesting and important because I don't see enough of this on the internet. I would love to have seen more videos of clinical fellows during their first week, and I'm guessing that the reason why there aren't more videos like that is because the first week is incredibly overwhelming and nobody has time or the patience really to walk around with a video camera in an area they've never been, in a situation they've never been in. So I thought I would give you all the opportunity to take a little peek into my life and what it's like to be a clinical fellow in a school-based setting in a public school. Let me go to the kit. This is a brand new kit from Charlotte's Paper Company. I will link the name down here. This is part of the minimalist collection. I believe this one is called Minimal Coffee. So I chose this one appropriately because I needed a lot of coffee to get through this week. That was very true. So I thought this would be the best time to use it. I just love the muted tones on all of these kits in this collection, and I will link in the cards. Click up there for the rundown of all of the minimal collections that are currently available in the Charlotte's Paper Co. shop. I am an affiliate, so if you want to click using the links, that would be great. If not, that's totally up to you. This is the washi. Whenever images are split like this, but they run or horizontal, I'm always like, why? But they always seem to look good on the page anyway. So we've got the days of the week featuring art from the kit, and then I have some decorative headers, some functional headers here, and some dinner keeping things, which I'm not actually going to use for this kit. But thankfully, this sort of craft paper looking color will work with lots of other things. So I'm definitely going to save that. This is an extra sheet that I will link down below for work. Again, it's called Minimal. And I'm going to use a bunch of these in this week's kit because I finally can. Yay. Another extra sheet that I got from Charlotte's Paper Company. This is foiled overlay. I will link what it is called down here, but I'm not going to be using all of these for this kit. I'm only going to be using a couple, but I just thought they were so cute and really appropriate. This one. This is the one I really want to use. I am going to lay down foundation. I'm going to speed things up. I'm going to add some music, and then I will come back in voiceover and sort of walk you through the whole week. All right, so thanks for watching. Keep it up. See you in a bit. All right, friends, so let's get into the week. I think I started off by laying down the foundational images. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do to correspond with different tasks, activities. I opted not to cover up the flower again because it actually meshed with the motif really well. I put a wonderful foil on top that said Day 1, Chapter 1, It Begins, which is the most apt way I can describe to talk about this week. So for those of you who are not CF-SLPs, I will explain what that is. Speech language pathologists get 1 9-month period at the beginning of their career where they are on a temporary license, meaning someone is supervising them while they are treating and assessing students or clients or whomever their clientele base happens to be. I'm a school-based SLP, so my clients are all students, and the purpose of my therapy is to address academic concerns or conflicts relating to speech, language, and communication skills in the classroom. So I had to start my first day in kind of a haze because I didn't even know what time I was supposed to come into work until the day before. School districts vary widely on this. Some people are very good at updating their specialists. Other people, unless you're on some sort of staff list somewhere, you're not necessarily going to get that information right away. So for all CFYs, I would just make sure that you are in constant contact with your supervisor. If you can get your supervisor's cell phone number just to use in the beginning for things like this where you're not sure if you've got that staff invite, definitely do that because it is absolutely worth it and is 100% the best thing I can recommend to you. So as you know, I'm back planning while I did this. So I started to lay down some things and realized I didn't really have anything to track, but that's okay. I had a lot of things to purchase though. This is tip number 2. I would definitely recommend waiting until you get to your school or your space before you buy new materials because you don't know what they're going to provide for you. I had to wake up at 5:30 in the morning for the first time ever for a job, and so that was a struggle, and I was very scared that I was going to sleep past my alarm. It did not happen. It has not happened once, I'm happy to say. But so I just marked off that I did pay for some school supplies. My intention was to get some new clothes to wear to work and, of course, to buy groceries. There was an open house the following week, and the first official day of school where students were coming into the building was happening the following week. So I wanted to mark those things down. We had a very long staff orientation. I walked in bleary-eyed, kind of confused about what to expect, but it all worked out. And I actually got to sit at a table. There was a t-shirt for me. There was a little compass with my name on it. I was immediately introduced to other people who were sort of in my immediate professional learning community, or PLC is how they call it. And work hours vary depending on the day this week. So we didn't have consistent work hours. Usually we're allowed to leave by 3. This was when we left at 3:30. I'm not sure what I'm doing right now in terms of gathering stickers or something, but I'm just going to keep talking. So I showed up with no expectations, not sure what was coming, and it all worked out. Thankfully, I have some really nice colleagues. I was trying to remember everyone's name during these like icebreaker activities. We had to go through all of the different things that are supposed to happen if we suspect that a student has COVID, if there are emergency concerns related to safety. And that was a little scary. The lockdown procedures was not a fun conversation for me because I have a little bit of a fear of that. So we'll see how that goes once we actually start doing those drills. So for this week, and I love Charlotte's Paper Company kits for this, your to-dos are your 3 top priority things. So we did manage to do some arranging of the speech room. I was way overdressed for the first day. I was told to dress comfortably, but I didn't know what that meant. People showed up in all kinds of attire, and I was overdressed. My husband and I had just started watching The Sopranos, so that was something we ended the day with, but I felt incredibly overwhelmed, and it actually led to a little bit of a meltdown later in the evening. So it was not a stress-free day. It was a very stressful day for me. I also didn't have a working computer, so I was finally given like a mock one to use during the day, but there was all this professional development that needed to get done, and I was nowhere near being able to complete that. I didn't have logins for everything. That's something else you'll encounter. But everyone is pretty patient with you, and everyone is trying to get adjusted to the start of the new school year. So no matter how new or seasoned you are, it is always a challenge. It will be a challenge, and it just gets easier, at least from my experience. There were a couple of things that I had to do right at the beginning. The first thing I learned how to do was use the internal system. Then I got to take a chance to look at some IEPs, figure out what they were supposed to look like, where I could find the information I needed. At this point in time, I'd only just started talking to my supervisor about which kids I was going to be working with. So just a little bit more background. My supervisor and I are in the same building, and I am split between two schools. So I'm going to see her 3 days a week, and I'm going to be at the other school, which is 5 minutes down the road, 2 days a week. So I couldn't have asked for a better situation. To have my mentor directly there to answer any questions, who literally can tell me where things are and what to do, is so valuable. So if you're still looking for your CF, please make sure that that is a priority. You can't always ask for it, but if you can get it, it's amazing. I was sorted into a house, and I'm not kidding when I say that. We have houses, and then there are behavioral responsibilities to give kids points. So that was new and interesting. Let's see. So my supervisor finally gave me a tour of the school. I did get lost trying to get out of the school. I didn't have a badge to get me in. It was just kind of crazy. I did coordinate with other departments and kind of look at what's going on. So now we're on day 3. I was able to get set up on my computer. I had to verify my educator license, which, be careful guys, I didn't have that when I logged in because nobody told me I needed it. So be on top of what your state requires for education. There was a new SLP orientation, which was really great because there were a couple other CFs, but there were also a bunch of people new to the district, and that was really exciting. Then I went over to the middle school for the first time, and that was even more daunting. I had an embarrassing situation where my skirt actually hiked up behind me, and thankfully I was wearing bike shorts, so it all worked out. I was introduced to dozens of people all wearing masks, and I told them, I apologized in advance for not being able to remember their names, but I tried to make note of the ones that I knew I would be working with the most. Oh my gosh, Thursday. So Thursday was a wild card day because we had a staff adventure which ended up with us going to a theme park, and I felt like we were all totally unprepared for this. We were not told that we had to go to the theme park, and I'm not a fan of crazy roller coaster rides, and as a result, I nearly had a panic attack like sitting next to my supervisor on one of the rides, and I ended up having to get off, and I was so embarrassed about that being my first impression, and I really kind of had a problem with it. So if there's ever an opportunity for feedback in terms of staff adventuring, and if they ever ask me directly what they want me to change, that's a big one. I don't think you should make brand new people do something that's aggressive emotionally or physically with your colleagues like the first week. I think that's not okay. I did attend some in-person meetings earlier that day at the middle school. So Thursday was another day where I jumped back and forth between the schools, and it was a challenge to say the least. But I was proud because I did stand up for myself with my colleagues when I knew I needed to get off, and that's not easy to do. It was incredibly hot. I think the real feel was like 100 degrees, and we had no water and there was no shade. It was just a mess. Not something most people will likely have to encounter, but anyway. So on my last day, I was once again mostly at the elementary school. I got to attend a morning staff meeting at the middle school via Zoom, so that was super helpful because I didn't have to run back and forth. I did have to pick up my keys into the office that they put me in, The office they put me in was incredibly small and like a tornado bunker, and I have to treat in very strange places in the middle school. So middle school, elementary school experience is very, very different. And I don't, you know, I'm okay with that kind of flexibility, but if you're not, you might just want to try and stick to one school for your first CF. So this weekend was kind of a tough one because my husband was actually flying to New York to visit his family, to stay there for a couple of weeks, and I was going to miss him very much. So it was kind of we had like a tough conversation the night before about him leaving, and just stress, emotions very high this week. It was just tough all around. So I marked it off there. But I had the most productive weekend. I tried to sleep in, and I did. Sorry, I just got a message from my husband like while I was filming this, and it was just really sweet. But yeah, I ended up going to Target for school shopping, and it was so picked over. We had to design a bulletin board, and I've never done that before, so I was trying to find materials, and it was just really difficult. I did get a gift card from the PTA, so I was able to bring that with me and use it for school supplies and things. I ended up getting a free pizza from Papa John's. Thank you for sending it off to educators. So that was really wonderful. But yeah, just the morning, I wanted to mark it. I also got to catch up with a good friend of mine who is getting married, and I hadn't talked to her in a couple weeks, so I was really happy to do that. And then on Sunday, I decided to use the big to-do list marker and just mark off a bunch of things. So I ended up having to go, I was always going to go to Trader Joe's, but I ended up having to also go to Michael's because I needed materials. And that was kind of an adventure for me as well, because I have never been driving around to new locations by myself like that without my husband. So that was really special that I got to do that, and everything worked out. But yeah, I was very stressed on Sunday. I did get to have a nice conversation with a student from NYU who was concerned about her licensure stuff, so I was able to help her out, and I'm always happy to do things like that. It makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like I'm not super clueless about everything. So, and then, yeah, last but not least, my kitty needed extra cuddles because my husband was gone. So, anyway. Okay, so this is my week. It looks very full and busy, and that's because it is, or it was rather. This was a really interesting week, and I hope you've enjoyed my explanations of everything. There's a lot actually that's not on here that is making me kind of question how I want to use this planner going forward, because there's not going to be enough space for the minutia of work meetings, things like that. Once I have a clearer schedule of what I'm going to be doing, this will look a little bit neater, I think. But in general, what I'm seeing is that the bulk of my day is taken up by work, and then my evening is very, I really only have a couple of hours in the evening now to kind of come down from work, give myself space to breathe, and spend time with my family. So it's tough. But I actually I love the way that this came out. I love the colors. I love how muted this really is, because I think in my head everything was reds and brights. So to see it laid out with a more neutral feel is a nice reminder that we don't have to make our lives as crazy and loud as they appear in our head. I did acknowledge in places where I felt overwhelmed or burnt out, but I think ultimately this is a very sort of typical way that things are going to be. And hopefully, my hope is that day one is the trickiest, hardest, and overall day, and that each day will get a little bit easier. I'm sure some days will be more challenging than others, but in general, that's what I'm hoping. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please check out the next planning video for the week of the 23rd through the 29th, which also happens to be the very last week of August 2021. So look out for that video and have a wonderful week, you guys. Take care of yourselves.